The world changed, and our opportunity is to summon the courage to change. If the world outside is changing faster than you or your organization or your team is, you're losing ground and ultimately are in a vulnerable position to lose share of market. So, I'm fond of the sentiment that the accelerated pace of change has never been so fast and overwhelming, and it's never going to be this slow again. And so, summoning the courage to change and holding on to the things that have worked in the past a little more loosely and having a growth mindset where we continue to iterate and evolve is mission critical to the sales growth of an organization and the growth of an individual contributor, frankly. And, I can speak personally to the notion that, what was effective in our go-to-market strategy in 2018 and 2019 isn't going to produce the desirable result today. So we live in a state of constant iteration. And I think a good way for a sales leader or an individual contributor to think about it is this way. So simultaneously, we have a business plan, right? With KPIs and requirements and targets and goals. It's normal. Concurrent to that, we should also be running and tracking a development plan. Simultaneously, the learning never stops, and those two things have to operate in concert. You have to do things that make you uncomfortable each and every day. It's a skill. You develop it by moving into it. If you're always conducting little experiments, then you're always pushing yourself past your comfort zone a little bit. You're always learning and growing. So if you had an experimentation project and a development plan, you'd be in a constant state that was putting pressure on your comfort zone, and you'd be moving forward. And then it becomes innate in you. It just becomes something you're comfortable with. Triathletes are pretty comfortable being uncomfortable. They know when the race starts, something weird's gonna happen, at mile 20, and things are gonna change, and the conditions are gonna change, and their body's gonna change, and they're used to adapting in that environment. It's expected. And the idea today is that leaders and managers need to expect adversity, challenge, change, circumstances shifting right before their very eyes. And the way I look at it is I try and ask myself a couple of questions in those moments. What am I learning? Because there's information available to me that's new. So what can I learn? How do I process this? And then the second thing I consider is, where's the opportunity? Because change reveals opportunity all the time. I've started a few businesses, but I can tell you the two most successful ones I started were in the middle of the financial collapse in 08-09 and in the middle of the pandemic in 2020. And so I really believe in that philosophy, is that change and adversity reveals opportunity. And I think that's true personally. Our darkest moments can be our defining ones if we're awake to the learning and willing to move through it. And that's where we grow. I got asked this question 2 weeks ago. Is artificial intelligence going to replace salespeople? And my answer was no. However, salespeople that leverage AI to an advantage are going to be replacing salespeople that do not. And that will become the distinction. And so, as new tools and technology come to the forefront that can make us more effective and efficient, the onus is on us to leverage them. And if you think about time, time is a mission critical consideration. I call it time and territory management, right? So the Salesforce statistic, we've got, professional salespeople only spending about 30% of their available work time actually selling. So we're doing a variety of other things related to administration, organization. Some of that's important and necessary, I get it. But fundamentally, if you can give people their time back to focus on the thing that drives the result more effectively and more efficiently, you've created an unlock in your organization. And artificial intelligence is can be a time-saving machine if you use it the right way. And so it's made me a more effective sales coach, and it's made me more insightful. And I think it's made me a better collaborator with my customers and partners. And that's a learning journey that everyone needs to be on, including myself. The learning never stops. I laugh at these sort of 5-year strategic plans. How long is that going to be relevant, right? And so, if you looked back, take today, for example, and let's rewind. And let's go back and page through a bunch of strategic plans 5 years ago that were prepared to guide you to today. The word artificial intelligence wasn't in any of them. And what is everybody talking about today? And so that's how fast things are changing. And so we have to exercise that change readiness muscle. And it's uncomfortable because we're not innately wired for it. As relevant information evolves the marketplace, the competitive category, the way customers decide, and your opportunity to gain advantage, be more prepared, demonstrate value, it's incumbent upon us to evolve too. And that's consistent with having a growth mindset, and people with a growth mindset are much more equipped to create sustainable, profitable sales growth in a business. Growth is uncomfortable. That discomfort means we're in the growth zone. That's where it happens. And you've got to exercise that discomfort and test and iterate and try new things to expand. And that's where breakthroughs happen. And I think that's the recipe in the playbook for success today.